My name is Gary Gan from a beautiful country called Malaysia. And I've been involved with our amazing Enagic business for the last 14 years now. I've seen it change so much from the dinosaur, what we call as the dinosaur age, the stone age, to now amazing. Things have pivoted so much. The world has changed so much. Businesses has changed. Guess what? Enagic has tremendously changed through the years. So around 4 years after I've started doing the Enagic business, I was very blessed due to my experience in network marketing. I have very good contacts in this area, and I built very quickly within a short period of time, seeing a lot of success. And I realized that unlike our guys in the Western countries where people are more highly connected in terms of internet and a lot of social media. But a lot of people, especially here in Asia, they don't have that much exposure. Okay, so I told myself, I said, hey, since I have this privilege of able to connect with some of these amazing leaders like the star we have today, don't underestimate this guy. He may look very normal, but this guy is really the mover shaker behind the scene. So I said, since I have this privilege of getting to know a lot of leaders, especially in the Western Hemisphere, like America, in the Europe, so why not let's bring them on to Asia, especially after the COVID, where everybody is pivoted into online Zoom training, Zoom discussion. And I told myself, hey, let's do this. And without really knowing, time flies. And then within 10 years, we've been doing close to more than 100 interview with stars. From the very top, like people like Romy Vadera, JV Pacifico, Cynthia Briganti, Daniel Dimercalli, to our very high-tech Nate Wells, Matthew Jang, Belas Kados, and of course today we have our star. All this combination of people, there's plenty of information. Without further ado, today I'd like to introduce you to somebody very special. I first met this amazing guy in Tenerife early this year. I still remember. If I'm not mistaken, it's either January or something like that. January, February, yeah. So I met him, and both he and his partners are one of the top. If I'm not mistaken, way back in 2016, maybe we can hear from him later. Way back in 2016, I still remember that's when we start to see Enagic pivoting slowly to the internet age. We had a big event in Las Vegas. I was one of the speakers there. And then it emerged one young guy by name of Matthew Jang that came into the scene. I think he was the fastest 6A2-3 in the world. Am I right, Julian? I think so, something like that. And that was when the whole of the Enagic world got noticed with like, oh, wow, there's another way of doing this business. And just for your information, Julian is also the partner of Matthew. I'll let him share a little bit more about their background. But these two guys, when I met them face to face, body to body in Tenerife, I realized that not just their achievement shout so loud about them, but as a person, as somebody that you get to talk to face, they are such amazing people. And Julian, we shared a lot of things, and I told Julian, I said, hey, you have got to be on my show. And I'm so happy after like close to a year. From early this year, I met him, and now, and wow, reality hits, man. So he's right here, and I just want to really quickly shout out his bio, amazing. So Julian Sherman, to me, I think he looks a combination of Larry Ellison, the young Larry Ellison of Oracle, combined with a little bit of Tony Robbins. That look. So yeah, amazing. So Julian, he's an entrepreneur and a speaker who went from college dropout. Guys, I know some of y'all, just like me, guys, he's a college dropout. I'm a high school graduate. I've never even been to a college. Don't even know what's a college life. Does it matter? Well, it depends how you want to look at life, but we'll let Julian share a little bit later. And he went from a college dropout to achieving, da 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 da, drum roll, guys, drum roll. He just became the last, I know because his good buddy Nate is very close to me. When Nate became a dash five, now Julian became a 682-6 in Enagic. Guys, that's one of the highest rank in Enagic, and he did it in a record time of like less than, I don't know, less than 10, 12 years. It's amazing. Since 2012, he's helped thousands of people create freedom through mindset, online business, and affiliate marketing. So it's a whole different ballgame. When when I started in Enagic, it was all about solving people's health issue. So here we start to see people solving another human issue, which is in fact even more important. Okay, and his mission is to live a lifestyle of freedom and inspire others to do the same. That's my man. That's what I'm talking about because I live that too. And showing that real success comes from alignment, okay, belief, and taking massive, and I love this term, okay, taking not just massive action, but massive imperfect action. I know I've been hearing a lot from him on this word because a lot of people are just waiting for that perfect moment, perfect action, perfect script, perfect timing. There's no such thing. And I like what Julian has to say. Massive imperfect action. Fantastic. And that's where it got him to where he is today. So guys, are y'all ready to rock with me? If you are, give me a two. Give me a two down there at the chat button so I know that you are ready to rock and roll, launch this whole thing. Let's do it, man. Wow, I can see so many two coming. All right. So without further ado, guys, let's put our hands together and give a warm welcome to none other than our mega star today, Julian Sherman. Woo!
Thank you
Awesome,
so much.
Julian.
Thank you so. Can you guys hear me okay?
Fantastic. Loud and clear.
Thank you so much for having me, Gary. When I first met you and Letice in Tenerife, your energy is just infectious, and when I'm around you, it lifts my vibe, and you just have a very unique, contagious energy. So I'm grateful to be here. I'm grateful we made it happen. And it's funny because you said I look like Larry Edelson, and so you know what I get here in Miami? Do you guys know the soccer player Lionel Messi?
Leo, yes, of course.
So I get that like literally
Okay.
one time a week, somebody rolls down their window when I'm walking my dog and they're like, Messi, even though I'm 6'3" and Messi's shorter, I get that a
Yeah.
lot. But yeah, that's so funny. But
Okay.
I'm super grateful to be here and excited for this. Been really looking forward to it.
Yeah. So likewise here, brother. Thank you on behalf of Kangen Power Team, on behalf of everybody here, and on behalf of everybody that will be watching this YouTube channel in the future to come. Thank you. I know you are such a busy person. I've been trying to reach out to you for so long. But thank you so much. I'm very sure that the little things that you'll be sharing with us here today will inspire and even change someone's life somewhere out there. So, on behalf of the whole universe, thank you so much. Namaste. Julian, tell us who is Julian Sherman before your meteoric rise in the online space in Enagic? Come on, share with us.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. I'll definitely give you before we dive into some Q&A, I'll give you guys a little bit of a background for anybody who doesn't know me or my story, which I'm assuming most people here don't. But my name is Julian Sherman, and I grew up in a small town outside the city of Philadelphia. Has anybody here been to Philadelphia by any chance? Oh, Jen's been to Philly. I'm not
Wow.
proud of being from there. I call it Filthy Delphia. But I grew up outside of Philadelphia to Ukrainian parents. So my parents, I have a Ukrainian Jewish background. So my parents escaped the Holocaust, where there was
Wow.
mass exodus of the Jewish people, and also Soviet Russia back when it was the USSR. There was communism, and they moved to America to they met in America, but to give me a chance to go to college and get an education and basically get what our people couldn't have the opportunity to have back in the day. But the problem was that I just basically looked at all the opportunities they gave me and I was like, screw that. That's not for me. I
Okay.
I uh I got terrible. I can relate to you, Gary, about the schooling system and everything because I got terrible grades in high school and I was a very unconfident person. I had very low self-esteem. I had no confidence to the point that throughout all of my high school journey, I
Right.
actually sat alone at lunch because I didn't have the confidence to like meet people and people see me now and I'm like the most social outgoing person that people know. I'm very good at connecting, but I learned all that
Right.
through this industry, through personal development, through books like How to Win Friends and Influence People. Matthew makes a joke all the time. He's like, "You are that book in a nutshell, Julian. How to Win Friends and Influence People." But I
Right.
didn't have any confidence, didn't have any like I wasn't good at making friends, sat alone at lunch, and I just got terrible grades in school. I was a C to F student. I barely passed classes, and I ended up just graduating high school with a 2.2 GPA, which I don't know if you guys have that where you are in Malaysia or there, but it's basically the equivalent of like a D plus C minus average, like
Okay.
a 5, 6 out of 10 on your and I couldn't get into any colleges with those grades. So
Right.
what I ended up doing was something inside of me, probably like most of you on this call, like Gary, Latif, and everyone on this call is I knew that I was meant, I just felt that there was something different in me. I didn't see myself going down the traditional path of getting the 9 to 5, getting a
Right.
job, making 50, 60,000 a year, getting the benefits, the 401k and all this, and then just not being able to have this life of choices and freedom. There's something inside of me
All
and
right.
I don't know what it was. I think a big part of it was seeing my dad. I remember when we grew up, we lived in like very small apartments and my family wasn't very well off. And then I remember I was young, I was like 10 or 11, but my dad ended up taking a $10,000 loan. He didn't go to school. He could barely speak English. He came from Ukraine and
Okay.
he ended up starting an offline business.
Okay.
And I saw it wasn't a super successful multi-million dollar business, but I saw that this was before working from home was even a possibility. But I saw while all my friends' parents were at jobs, my dad was home and he was in his office. And I was like, I don't want to do what my dad does, but if there's some sort of way where I can like be home and not have to ask my boss to go to the bathroom and I can go to the bathroom in my home, like I'm sold on that vision. But the
Right.
problem is that most businesses take a lot of money to start, and I didn't have any credit and I didn't have any money. So
Okay.
what I ended up doing, Gary, was I went to community college in Pennsylvania,
Okay.
which is basically like a college that anybody can get into. You don't need any grades in high school to
Okay.
get into. It's just like the college anyone can get into. You go there for 2 years and then you transfer to a main campus university and then finish your 4-year degree. That was kind of the plan. But I was really just doing it to out of respect for my family because I was living at home.
Hmm.
And although my parents didn't provide this like lavish life for me, I had food to eat, I had a place to sleep. So it's like if I'm gonna be there, it's like I had to go to school. So ended up going to community college and I I it just again I went to community college for business administration because I was very fascinated by the world of business.
Right.
But again, didn't have money to start a business, so I was just this was before I knew anything about personal development or anything like that.
Okay.
And at the time, Gary, my family used to have these because we come from the Jewish culture. My family was starting to become religious at the time, and we would have these big Sabbath dinners. So
Yeah.
every Friday night we would have groups of people, like 20, 30 people, either come to our house or we would go to another family's house in the
Right.
area, or another family's house, and we would alternate like between 4 or 5 families.
Right.
And I remember that there was always these two guys. You might know these guys, Gary, maybe not, but they're
Okay.
pretty big in the industry. Their names are Guy and Elon Ferdman. And these
Okay.
guys were super successful in real estate lending. They made millions of dollars. And I was just fascinated by these guys. It was the first time in my life where I was having like big picture conversations. These guys would ask me about what my values are, what I want to do, and it wasn't just a normal conversation. These guys had a lot of depth to them. And I was always very attracted to them on how they looked at life and their success and how they were put together. And, I never really talked much about business with them
Mm-hmm.
because I was going to school, but
Mm-hmm.
I was really fascinated by these guys, and I would just enjoy whenever they would come to these dinners, which
All
was
right.
like once every 6 months. I was like, I just really enjoyed having conversations with these guys. Long story short, I don't know if the same thing, I think it was a global thing, but remember
Okay.
when the 2008 economy crashed, the real
Yep.
estate and
Yep.
all the banks lost everything, people lost everything.
Yep.
These guys got to the point where they lost their whole business. They were
Oh.
over leveraged in real estate lending
Oh. Okay.
and they lost a multi-million dollar business and they were at the point where they literally just had the shirts on their back
Oh.
and they were restarting. And
Okay.
I remember talking to them about this and then about a year later, this was before Instagram. I was on Facebook and I saw one of the brothers make a post on Facebook. This was probably in 2010. He made a
Yep.
post on Facebook and he was like, I'm so grateful that after losing everything in real estate, because of this high ticket affiliate network marketing model, just earned over $100,000 on the internet. And I don't know if it was in a month or a year, but the fact that I saw six figures, I was like,
Wow.
what do you mean on the internet?
Yeah.
You can make
Internet.
money on the internet? This was before people were making money on the internet, or it
Right.
was very new.
Right.
And I sent him a message and I was like, hey, I saw this post. I'm not sure if this is something I could do because I don't have credentials. I didn't go to school for marketing. What is this all about? And that was my first exposure to the world of high ticket affiliate network marketing. It was a
Wow.
company called Carbon Copy Pro. This was in 2010. I think I was 20 years old and I started the process. I went through the funnel, as you can say,
Okay.
and remember getting started, having my coaching call with one of these guys, and I just remember early on, I was so basically I bought the front end product of that company. It was like $99 to join the community. And then I went through a 3 hour business planning and coach and discovery process where I learned about the products. It wasn't a Enagic at the time, but
Okay.
I was learning about high ticket network marketing and it wasn't a physical product, it was digital education products, but I was in that 3 hour call that I had learning the economics of the business and how you can run ads and how you can connect with people on the internet and how you can earn commissions on these products. I just remember learning more in that 3 hour discovery call that I paid $99 for.
Right.
Learned more in that 3 hours than I learned in that year and a half that I was in community
Community
college for business
college. Yeah.
administration. It was blowing my mind, and I was like, "Whoa!" It was fascinating to me,
Right.
and I just remember thinking about it, and I remember Tony Robbins said this best. He's like, "What is the quickest way to get from point A to point B, from where you are to where you want to go?" And it's as simple as modeling. Find somebody who has what you want, regardless of if it's in relationships, fitness, business. Ask them what they did and do it. And I just remember sitting in the back of my business administration college class, and I was like, after I was learning all this stuff, I was like, my business professor, if this information was so good, then why is he sitting in front of a classroom making $50,000 a year instead of running a business? I
Right.
didn't learn based on principle. I wanted to learn from people moving, shaking, people like yourself, Gary, who are in the trenches, who are making it happen, who are pressing the flesh with other people who are in the world.
Right.
And and then I had my call and they were straight up with me. They're like, Julian, what's your income goal? And I was like, you know what? I kind of got to the number that a lot of people say who get started with this industry is like the $10,000 a month. I was like, if I could make $10,000 a month on the internet, I know this is real and I can do this for the rest of my life. And one thing I want to share that my one of my first mentors, one of these brothers told me that I think was one of the is something that I can see that you're living, Gary, based on how long you've been doing the show and how long you've been in Enagic, is the fact that these guys told me, they're like, look, Julian, any business on the planet takes time and
Yep.
money to build, and usually a lot more time and usually a lot more money than you think. I didn't have any money at the time. I actually, I feel bad, but I've told my dad this, but I didn't even have the $99 for the basic membership for that company. I
Uh-huh.
actually went to my dad's office and I stole his credit card to
Oh,
put membership on it because I was so desperate. I was like, I need to find a way. But now I've told my dad that and I pay it forward, and I'm grateful because of this business and this industry that I'm able to really do some amazing things for my parents. Like do you know the artist Andrea Bocelli?
yeah.
Yeah,
The soprano,
yeah,
the blind guy, right? He's the
yeah,
blind
the
blind.
blind guy that does
Yeah.
the opera. So
Opera. Yeah.
I just bought my parents tickets. It was like
Wow.
$1,000,
Wow.
just to give them the experience because I took that credit card.
I
Um,
just want to stop you there. Wow, Julian, you told me that your dad was in some form of a business. How come you never thought of joining him, or he never invited you to do, like, since you are very into business, you never thought of joining your dad, or was it like his business is not for you, or what's
You know
going on?
what? Before I found out about network marketing, affiliate marketing, and what we're doing here,
Yep.
I was always like, "Hey, Dad, can I take over this? Can I?" But the type of business he did was a very, I wouldn't say shady is the word, but it wasn't like,
Okay.
basically he was running a medical office in the ghetto of Philadelphia, so a very dangerous area. A lot
Hmm.
of shootings happen every single day. And it wasn't he did that. So he was like, Julian, this is not something that I see for you.
Right.
But it was something I thought about because I was desperate and I was like, I will do anything at this point.
Okay.
So it just wasn't the business for me. But at one point, I did become a personal trainer, and he owned a chiropractic office, and I was working there as an employee, and it was great experience for me, just as a personal trainer.
Right.
So yeah, it was an
Oh, okay.
interesting
Got it. Got
interesting
it.
transition.
Yes.
So these guys told me, they're like, you don't have any time, you don't have any money,
Mhm.
but you have time. And they're like, you need to treat this as if you were to treat any career on the planet. And they're like, even if it took you 4 years to make $10,000 a month on the internet from home, part-time, would it be worth it? And in my mind, I was like, compared to every other option I have, 1000%, hell yeah, it would be worth it.
Yeah.
And and that's when and that's one thing I respect about you, Gary, is that you've been in this for over a decade. Most people come into this industry or any industry or a new diet plan or a new relationship, and if it's not all perfect in 30, 60 days, they're like, oh, it's not for me. Let me
Yeah.
throw the towel in, move to the next relationship, move to the next
Right.
fad, move to the
Correct.
next business. But I was like, you know what? I am committing my life to this. And that's when I got up. That's when I first read books like Think and Grow Rich,
Right.
Awaken the Giant Within, Tony Robbins, How
Right.
to Win Friends and Influence People. And that's when I was like, oh my gosh, I can create my reality with my thoughts. I don't have to have wealthy parents that give me 100 grand to start a business. I
Hmm.
don't have to have a bank let me money. I can create. It's like in Think and Grow Rich. I don't know if you guys read that book when
Napoleon Hill.
when the girl goes to the door and she's like knocking and she's like, I need the money for my parents. Give me the money now. And the whole lesson in that was like, no matter what, if you keep going and you're persistent, you can create the reality that you want.
Right.
And and that's when I started in the world of network marketing, affiliate marketing, and was in a few different opportunities from that point. It took me about 2 years to make my first dollar online. I think I spent
Wow.
a few $1,000s in ads, and I made my first $20 sale. And
After
I
like
sold,
what, 2 years or 1 year?
it took,
You
it took me about 2 years to make my first sale.
a lot
Two
of
years.
people would have just thrown in the towel.
Yeah,
Crazy.
I didn't see any other choice because like
Right.
if I threw in the towel,
Yeah.
then I just saw myself going in the same path I was going, and the risk of just keep going, the pain of staying in that, going to college and getting a normal job, the
Right.
thought of mediocrity was just something that I could not stomach. Although continuing in that path, even after taking so long to even make a dollar, what also sucked, but I was like, which which suck do I want to
Yeah.
pick? Do I
Which suck the
want,
which pain do you want?
yeah, it's like we're always going to have problems. So why not pick the problem that's going to give us the highest potential return on our investment financially, emotionally,
Right.
and things like that. So yeah, from then I was in a few different opportunities, started to have some success, started to make a name for myself in the industry. But the challenge I ran into was two things.
Okay.
One, I made some money in an opportunity and then the company goes away. I'm like, shit,
Ah,
I got to start again.
right.
Make some money, but I learned the skills. I learned
Yep.
the skills of psychology, sales, the
Right.
things that you teach everybody that we're talking about right now. These are timeless things.
Right.
But I was tired of going from thing to thing, and I would be in an opportunity for a few years, and then the company would go away. I would be in another thing for a few years, the company would go away, and I got to the point where I was speaking with Matthew. That's a whole nother story about how we connected, but we were both kind of in a similar place in these companies, and we just became running buddies. And
Okay.
I think it's such a powerful thing to have somebody who's at your level or even a little bit above your level that you can mastermind with every single day. I think that's, the mastermind principle also talked about in Think and Grow Rich is such a key thing in this business. And Matthew became my basically my mastermind, my running buddy.
All right.
And long story short, after going from company to company and just trying to find some stability, that's when Enagic came our way in 2016. And I was like, you know what? I saw that the company was around for 50 years. I saw how generous they are with their compensation plan. I just saw everything happening and I was like, this is a gold mine. This is like not even, and the fact that it's a physical product that even if somebody buys the product and they decide not to do the business, that I know that they're getting 10 times the amount of value just from having this product that's changing their health
Yep.
and they can make money. It was like a no-brainer. And that's when I planted my flag with Matthew. We came in together into the organization and we decided to plant our flag. And that's when we had our first six-figure month,
Wow.
was with Enagic, which absolutely blew my mind.
Wow.
And not even from a crazy amount of people. It was just because of the lucrative compensation plan.
Right.
And the thing that I love the most about Enagic was the fact of the duplication, the fact that how many people resonated with this product, with this message, with the change your water, change your life, with the health side of things, with the business side of things,
Mm.
with the community side of things, and also the generosity of the company. And the biggest thing was the stability,
Right.
because again, like I was running around like a chicken with my head cut off, just I was like in a company and then all of a sudden the
Right.
company owner goes crazy and I'm like, "Oh my God, do I have to find another opportunity?" I'm like, "I'm sick and tired of doing this." And
Right.
then planted my flag in 2016, and the reason that I can be here right now, 682-6, which is just
Wow.
crazy to be a college dropout and because I'm nobody special. Again, I sat alone at lunch. I didn't even have the skills to make friends and talk to people to now being able to impact so many people. I'm just so grateful for Mr. Oshiro, so grateful for Enagic, and just so grateful that I connected with Matthew and what's been able to happen from there is just incredible. And I know I tried to keep the story short, but there's a lot of ups and downs throughout. I'm sure as all of you can imagine being in the world of entrepreneurship, but that's a little bit of my background, Gary.
Wow. Thank you so much, Julian. That itself is needed to be all put into a book. That book could touch literally millions of lives. Think about this, Julian. Have your own book. So yeah, I heard of a name associated to you guys. Was it GAZ? Was it a GAZ before Enagic or something like that?
Yeah, so Global Affiliate Zone was
Yes.
basically, we started creating this process of running ads, because that's what we were learning was like running ads, sending people to a webinar,
Okay.
having a webinar that sells a $99 front end product, which was like training, education, affiliate marketing training, like how to
Okay.
run ads, how to find an offer. And then when a customer would buy it and join our community, that's when they would go through a I don't want to get too technical. Maybe we could do another call to go through this, but I want
Okay.
to touch on the gist of it.
Okay.
And then basically after they purchased, that's when they would book their coaching call and they would go through a 3 hour discovery process. And in that process is when they would go through so for Enagic, that's when they would go through, it was 3 hours of mindset, understanding why we're in high ticket, why it's easier to sell a $5,000 machine than it is to sell a $5, cream or essential oil,
Right.
or, there's a lot of good products out there, but if you want to make 10K a month and you're selling a $100 product, what do you need? A hundred sales a month
Right.
versus you're selling a 5K product, you need two sales a month. And I
Right.
remember hearing something one time is like, it's just as easy to sell a castle as it is to sell a Section 8 home or a $100,000 home. It's
Right.
just who you're talking to. It's actually easier. If you're trying to sell $100 million home, it's actually an easier sale than $100,000 home because those people, they know what they want. They're ready
Yes.
to go.
Yes.
So so with that said, we had this process dialed in, and
Okay.
we basically took that process and created a system for Enagic, and we were kind of like the pioneers and the first people to
Right.
create somewhat of an online system, an online recruiting system for Enagic, and the name of that was yeah, Global Affiliate Zone.
Right. Amazing. So, guys, just in case y'all don't know about this little fact, Julian and Matthew are also the upline of now the biggest online community in Enagic called Dream Team. Right. So, Julian, they are on one of your side, right?
Yeah, Darren and Mike.
Yeah, and Darren and Mike, yeah, amazing people. I love them, and I can see their passion in their community is so amazing. And then on one side is you guys have the biggest European team under Nate Wells, which is so amazing. So yeah, so Julian, now I understand about your obsession with business when you were young. You know, you didn't want to go to the route, but coming more specific to why would you choose network marketing as a professional career?
Yeah, that's a great question, Gary. I think the beautiful thing about network marketing is that
Hmm.
it gives you the opportunity to earn high level business income, 6 figures a year, 7 figures a year, and more. And for a low entry, there's no other, for example, if you wanted to own a McDonald's franchise,
Aha.
it costs
No way.
$1 million
Yeah,
to get your
crazy.
foot in the door, and you're not expected to see profit for 3 to 5 years.
Yeah.
And you have to do all these offline tactics and all of these things. And what I saw about network marketing is it gives the everyday average person, which I considered myself, at the time, the entry to be able to earn high level business income from home. And I didn't and the beautiful thing about network marketing is you don't need resources to be successful at network marketing. You need to be resourceful, but you don't
Right.
need resources. You need to be resourceful. And I just saw network marketing as like it's just for anybody who wants to make serious business income, life-changing income from home there and be able to travel the world. There's no other industry that I was able to find
Hmm.
where you could do that. And network marketing kind of gives you that, gives anybody the entrance. I mean, for even in an adjunct, 5 grand, 10 grand, you have licensing rights to be able to earn life-changing money. So that was the biggest thing for me was that, and also the impact. I was like, it's not only me that's going to be successful. It's like if I crack this code, I can teach people and help a lot of people escape the rat race or escape whatever they're trying to get out of.
Hmm. Amazing. Yeah, you are right. And just to add one more point on this part about network marketing, and this is my point that I love most is I'm very sure this resonates with you, Julian, because I see a lot of you in me or me in you. uh, like you and me, we come from literally nothing. You are a college dropout. I'm a high school graduate. I think network marketing gives us this very powerful thing called leverage. It doesn't
Mm.
it doesn't require my resources because I can literally like I can connect to someone and have his resources become mine. So I like the fact that network marketing is the best leverage business in the world. And like you say, it's so easy to enter. The entry level is for everybody. So that's so just so
Yeah,
powerful.
what you just touched on, the leverage part is huge. I mean, I live
Crazy.
here in Miami. I'm around
Yeah.
so many, so much success and just an abundance of
Yeah.
just wealth is in, like Miami, Dubai. It's like
Right.
these two places are insane. But I meet a lot of people who do really well, but they don't have the leverage. They see me
Right.
at, today I think in Malaysia, paddle is really big. The sport.
Pickleball? Pickleball?
Pickleball, but it's called paddle. It's similar, but you have the
Okay.
glass cages on the end.
Okay.
Uh, Actually, one of my good friends who I met, Aris, he's from Malaysia, and he's
Malaysia,
like,
Aris. Yeah, a friend of
yeah,
Ryan.
yeah. So I met him, and he's like the number one pickleball guy there. But we had an event in Latvia for our European team, and we played paddle there. And I messaged a bunch of my friends. I was like, "Hey, setting up a match today for 2 p.m. on a Monday." And all of my friends who are very successful, 6 and 7 figure earners, they're like, "What do you mean? I have to run my business." And I'm like, they don't have
Right.
the leverage that we
Right.
have. They don't have the team and the so I agree 100% with what you're saying as well. It's a great point.
Amazing, amazing. Yeah. So that's very unfortunate, because I don't know. I'm not saying anything, but through my many years of being in the network marketing industry, somehow majority of people have this negative perception about it. What are your thoughts about this? Like, I'm very sure you meet a lot of people like that, right? When you tell them, and then when they find out it's network marketing, they think it's some scam or something like that. What are your thoughts about this?
Yeah, it's a I find a lot that I think a big reason for that is that a lot of people get into an opportunity and they're very excited because they have these life-changing products and they can earn these life-changing income and they want to help people. But a lot of times these companies don't teach people how to effectively communicate, how to market. And
Right.
what ends up happening is that people are going to their friends and their family and they're just vomiting all this information and then if somebody's not interested they're almost making them feel bad. It's like, oh, then stick to your 9 to 5 job. Then
Right.
you know you're not willing to. And I think the biggest reason for that is a lot of these companies don't teach effective communication and marketing and persuasion. And I think that because it's such a low entry point and so many people have licensing rights to be able to talk about these products,
Hmm.
that they don't, that it can come off that way because people are kind of not communicating it effectively. They're not reading books like How to Win Friends and Influence People
Right.
and ask questions, and they're just kind of forcing this information. But sometimes even if I get that question or I get those people, I just smile and do what I'm going to do anyway, and it
Right.
doesn't
Doesn't
yeah,
matter.
yeah, but I think any industry and anything worthwhile, you're always going to have people that have that thing. And also, it's kind of like that Frank Sinatra quote. He's like, the best revenge is massive success.
Success.
Not that it's about revenge and getting back at people, but
Yeah.
whenever I would get that, I was like, you know what? I'm going to be so successful where it's undeniable.
Mhm.
And a lot of those people who would say those things about a scam and this, when they were able to see the life I was able to achieve, all those people ended up coming back and saying, hey, how can I get started? So it's funny how that works.
Right, amazing, amazing. And I guess you made a very good point there, Julian. You said about there are a lot of people who come into the business and number one, they don't know how to do it. They are not properly trained and they don't have the clarity. I guess I'm not sure if it's 100% that way, but I guess you guys leveraging on the internet has a better duplication tool. Can I safely say that?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, look, I've seen people in Malaysia and some of the top income earners in Enagic have done it completely offline.
Yes,
I personally think it's a lot more leveraged and you can because you can reach people quicker. Like if I wanted to talk to 100 people offline,
you're right.
it would take me a few weeks versus I can create an ad and 100 people can see it in one day. So it's definitely a powerful tool for sure.
For the duplication, right?
For the duplication, yeah.
Right. Okay. So the other question I would like to ask you, Julian, that as I say, many people in Asia do not have an idea of what you guys are doing, especially. So I just give you a very brief description, the rough SOP of what the offline people are doing is basically number one, we get people. Okay, let's just say I'm a new guy. Okay, I'm a new person, and I come into Enagic. I do. I buy the product. Then I learn about the demo. You know, the demonstration, the demo, and the 8-point marketing plan and all that. And then my role is to go look at my phone, call as many people, and try to make appointment and see them, the contacts that I have, and get them to know about Enagic, whether it's from the product or the business point of view. In a nutshell, are you able to explain when you guys talk about your funnel system, running the Enagic business model, how let's say like me, I'm a new guy and I come into let's say your team. I'm sure you are still recruiting, right? So let's say I join you under Julian Sherman. Now, what would I be required to do to get my business up and running and probably one day be like you? In a
Yeah,
nutshell. In a
for
nutshell.
sure. So I'll kind of simplify it as much as possible.
Okay.
And then maybe in the future with
Yeah.
Matthew, we could do another call. And
Sure.
but essentially kind of what I was talking about before is the way that I was taught to kind of go about things is to have a front end offer. So usually this is if you're working with something high ticket like Enagic or really anything, it's really hard to go straight to a $5,000, $10,000 sale. You kind of have to have a process. You have to build someone's trust. So the most valuable way that I've learned to go about it is basically running ads. And usually ads would be, first it would be very important to get clear on who your avatar is. So for me, it was like college dropouts that want to travel the world or somebody, anti 9 to 5 people that want to travel the world. There's so many communities within our organization of like non-toxic stay-at-home moms,
Mhm.
moms that want to stay home with their children and provide for their family, or it can be ex-construction workers. So you really want to get clear on who
Target
you are.
market. The target market.
Exactly.
Okay.
Exactly. Target market.
Okay.
And you'd create ads kind of just sharing your story. Same thing you would do as if you were to talk to somebody who came to your house of like, hey, this is what I was doing. This is what I found. And essentially the ad would lead people to some sort of mechanism, which we always use webinars. And on
Okay.
a webinar, basically what we would do is we would, and this is a very simplified version of it, but we would have a webinar where if you were to do that presentation at home in front of one person or 5 people, what if I could create so much interest from an ad
Mm-hmm.
where I could get in a week, let's say 100 or 200, and it depends how much you spend on ads,
Okay.
uh, 500 people on a webinar.
Okay.
And then all of a sudden, the same message, the same water demo, the same thing that I would do at my home,
Mm-hmm.
now I'm online and I'm doing the same thing in front of 500 people.
500. Wow.
Now, now I will say that nothing beats offline one-on-one connection. Nothing. It's kind of like if I'm in the dating market and I'm talking to somebody on a dating app versus if I go up to somebody at a coffee shop and
Right.
you can't replicate that
Right.
human to human. So you're not getting as high as a conversion as if you were one-on-one with somebody, but you get the volume.
Right.
So, and if I have 500 people, let's say, for example, 10 people or 50 people are interested, and
Okay.
then kind of you basically just, the thing kind of I learned is like whatever you do over and over offline, you
Mm-hmm.
can just have it in video form and have people go through that process. But then I had to learn about marketing, and I would study people like Russell Brunson,
Right.
who created ClickFunnels, or Frank Kern, or all of these people, and I would understand, and I would watch how they're doing it. I would opt into their webinars and see what's their process, how are they booking people on the phone. That's kind of essentially the 40,000-foot view, is just taking everything we're doing offline and doing it in a video form, but in a very sequential process. Because if I just ran an ad and I was like, hey, this is the water demo, this is how it works, people don't have context. They haven't gone through
Right.
the value proposition ladder, if that
Right.
makes sense.
Right. So in other words, your ads that you all throw out has nothing to do with Enagic or the water or anything. It's more target towards their pain point, right? Like freedom,
Exactly.
wanting more time with their family and things like that.
Exactly. And then kind of when we get clear on what somebody's looking for, it's like, this is a vehicle that we recommend. And
Okay.
for some people, it might not be the right fit. Maybe for some people, it's not the right fit, and that's okay. But this is like, we've been doing this for over 12 years, 13 years, like yourself. It's like, this is the best thing that we found. If you
Right.
want to use these skills that we're teaching of Facebook ads and communicating with people, and you want to use it for your restaurant that you own, or maybe you want to use it for a different product, go ahead and do that. But the numbers make more sense when you work with something that can pay the commissions
Right.
that Magic pays. So it just makes more sense from an advertising point of view.
What platform do you run or do your community run most of the time? Is it Facebook, Instagram, or
Yeah, so most
right?
people use Instagram,
Okay.
and and essentially a really simple way is like even just speaking to your target audience, talking about pain points, talking about where you were and
Okay.
where you're at now, speaking to that audience. And it's like it could be as simple as running an Instagram ad for
Okay.
$5 or $10 a day and just saying, hey, if you're curious what I'm up to, send me a message on Instagram. And then you don't even have to go, because building webinars and doing all that, it's a skill. It took me
Okay.
years to understand how to build that framework and all of that. But if somebody is already doing something offline, it could be as simple as running an Instagram ad, introducing yourself, targeting your kind of target market, and just being like, hey, if you're interested in what I'm up to and you want to have a conversation, just shoot me a message on Instagram and say, what are you up to? And then you could book them on a call and do the same thing you would do, but now you don't have to call your friend John, who's
Right.
not interested. You
Right.
can you can speak to somebody who saw something of interest and say, you know what are you up to? And then you could have a phone call with them, and kind of that's kind of the simplest form to do it. Is you don't even have to do a webinar. You can just, same thing you would do with having someone in your house, just be like, hey, this is what I'm up to, share your story, and kind of go through it that way, if that makes sense. But
Right.
Instagram
Wow.
is kind of like a big play. Facebook and Instagram have always been kind of the
Mhm.
main the main
Platform.
thing, the main platforms. Yeah.
Right. And what's your advice for baby boomers, like people who are probably now in their 50s and above, and they are, I don't know, maybe they want to pivot towards what you guys are doing. What's the best thing you recommend that they start? What do you think they should do then?
Yeah, one thing I always love that Dr. John Demartini said is, and he's one of like the biggest thought leaders of our generation, probably the smartest guy that I've ever heard from and learned from. He wrote books like The Values Factor, The Breakthrough Experience. John Martini is incredible. John Demartini. And he said something one time that stuck with me so much. He said, you can't put your hand in a jar of glue and take it out without having some stick on you. So,
Right.
with that said, I recommend just any opportunity to get around people that are kind of on the cutting edge that are
Right.
doing these things, just being on a call like this, or going to events like when you guys went to Tenerife, and hearing from people who are doing things in maybe some newer ways, um, is just a powerful thing, is just getting around it. And also watching people that are doing it, like
Mhm.
just even just being curious, like put a one in the chat if you've ever bought something through an ad. Maybe you saw a sponsored post on Facebook or Instagram and you actually purchased a product, whether it was a bed, or I bought this coconut water through an Instagram ad.
Right.
Um, so yeah, we got some ones in the chat. So it was more of like studying that, and and really just being curious of like, why did I buy that? And then like seeing like, and then maybe seeing like, how could I, just even understanding psychologically, like why I bought that. Oh, there was an ad. It caught my eye. They were talking about something I was interested in. I've been in the market for coconut water, but I don't like all the BS ingredients in it. And then I click the ad and they're like, oh, what if you had a coconut water that's just 100% pure coconut water? And I was like, oh, they're speaking to what I'm interested in. So they're targeting the ad. And then I go through the process, and then I'm like, and then just even just kind of getting the brain moving of like, maybe there's some ways I can do this with how I'm running my business. I'm speaking to people and they're reaching out to me, and I'm doing these demos at my home. Like, how can I maybe reach someone and put a message out there that would get someone interested, and kind of reverse engineering that. And also studying, some of the best marketers in the world. And the amazing thing is like we have access to ChatGPT right now, which
Wow.
is
Yeah.
which
Crazy.
is just, I wish this was existed when I got started, because I could even just go on ChatGPT and literally I could say, if I knew nothing about online marketing and I'm running an offline network marketing business, and I'm interested in how I can bring, dabble in this world and I'm brand new and dabble in this world, who are like 10 people that I could follow that are proficient marketers that you would recommend I look at their stuff. And then you could just kind of start going on YouTube and playing around, and just getting that those possibilities out there.
Right. It's a very interesting point that you have mentioned there just now, Julian, because I also have told many people before, because they did ask me questions like how to sell, how to get people interested. And I was telling them, I said, we need to always remember that apart from being a seller, we are also playing in many ways a buyer ourselves in many ways, right? We buy a
Hmm.
lot of things. So
Hmm.
what got us buying? Why would we buy A instead of B? And why we chose that? What got our attention? Like what you said just now is very true. So if we can re-engineer and put ourselves as the buyer, and just like selling to ourselves, we probably got an answer to the question that we want, right?
Yeah, and I do believe that some of the best marketers and salespeople in the world are easily the easiest sold to people in the world. Like now in my life, if I see something that I see a value proposition, I'm like, because really it just comes down to, what am I spending money on, and do I believe that I'm getting more in value than the exchange of that money, and how to create that. And I do it all the time. And great marketers and salespeople also love buying stuff. Matthew Jang is a great example. He loves buying things. I make fun of him all the time. The amount of random stuff he's bought through ads. I'm on a FaceTime with him. He's like, look at this thing. I'm like, bro, he bought a dinosaur egg. I'm like, what? A dinosaur egg?
Amazing.
So that's
Yeah.
probably why he's one of the best marketers in the world, though.
True, true, true. Julian, you mentioned about the importance of self-development. Um, do you think there's a correlation between the more you develop yourself and the results and success you see in your network marketing business like Enagic?
100%, Gary. And I remember when I had that first coaching call when I got started in 2010,
Right,
my mentor said, Julian, if you want to be successful in this industry, you need to work on yourself just as much, or if not more, than your business, or you're not going to have a business.
right.
But I think there's a balance,
Okay.
because I do see a lot of people that I heard the term one time like a personal development junkie, where
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I heard.
they're like, give me the more books, give me, and they read all the books, they
Right.
listen to all the audios, they know how the brain works, but they don't have the results in their life. And I think it's because maybe, and I was in this place for a long time where I was in 90% consumption,
Okay.
10% action.
Okay.
And I remember my mentor at the time was like, Julian, I came to my mentor, I'm like, dude, I'm on every webinar, I'm on every call. I've gone through the course 100 times. I'm not getting results. And he was like, Julian, you're in 90% consumption, 10% action. For the next 90 days, what we're going to do is we're going to take massive imperfect action. And I want you to go from 90% action, 10% consumption. And then I was like, wait, but what if I don't know what to do? He's like, I don't care, just do it. And I'm like, and it's like the nervous system doesn't know how to handle that. But
Yeah.
once you do that, you can fail forward. And it's just like Babe Ruth. I don't know if the statistics is still true, but Babe Ruth has, I think, the most home runs out of any. I think that's probably changed by now, but he had the most home runs at one point out of any player that's ever played baseball. But what most people don't know is that Babe Ruth had the most strikeouts out of any player that's ever played baseball, but he was always willing to go out and bat. So it's the same thing with this. If you're willing to have in the next conversation, not take the last one as a rejection personally and move forward, I think is the biggest thing. But self-development and understanding how our thoughts create our reality and keeping that, because the truth is that people on social media or our friends and family 90% of the times aren't supportive of our goals and our mission. So, and it's like if we don't have somebody close to us that's supporting us, I got to the point where all of my best friends were authors of these books. I didn't know them personally, but I looked at them as like my people. These are
Right.
my friends. All my friends, when I told them I'm starting this thing, were like, this is another pyramid. This is a scam. And it's like my parents were like, get a real job. What are you doing? And then, and that would affect me. But then I would open these books like Napoleon Hill, and I'm like, oh my God, these guys have no idea what they're talking about. Like, this is how Thomas Edison created the light bulb. He failed 10,000 times.
Right.
If I have 10 ads that don't work, or I speak to 100 people and nobody's interested, I didn't put my time in. I didn't put the effort in. So I think the self-development gives you the mindset to have the tenacity and the
Right.
persistence when things get tough.
I think it builds resilience in your mind. It's like a mind resilience builder, right?
100%. 100%. I like
And
that.
and you are a clear example. 2 years of running the ads and only got your first $2 sale after that, right? I mean,
Yeah,
yeah, and it's worth it. Look at where you are today. And if you have not gone through that process that time, I'm very sure the world would not have heard of Julian Sherman today.
100%.
Okay,
100%.
Julian, I like your saying all the time, and you said it loud and clear too in Tenerife. You talk about taking massive imperfect action. Now, here's the catch: a lot of people, especially of the youth today, I'm not sure why. Maybe it's due to social media. Maybe it's due to comfort zone level. I'm not sure, but there are a lot of people who overthink before even taking action. They always think that they are not ready. They are just, I don't like to use the word procrastinating. Maybe it's more of a mental blockage. I'm not sure. What's your biggest advice how to take massive imperfect action in spite of all the overthinking and whatever? What's your greatest advice?
Yeah, I actually I saw this quote recently. I was reading this book. Yeah, so the thing why I think myself and a lot of people
Right.
are so resistant to taking the action, taking the massive action is like because we don't feel like we're ready, right? It's like
Right.
I don't have the information.
Yeah.
I'm not fully there. And I experience this all the time still. And I read this quote that just relates perfectly to this. And the quote is, it's easier to act yourself into a new way of feeling rather than to feel your way into a new way of acting. So it's kind of like Tony Robbins talks about that as well, is like motion creates emotion. We're usually waiting for a feeling of like, I'm ready to talk to this girl.
Right.
I know what I'm going to say to her to ask her on a date. But then if we don't do it right away, or I'm interested in this guy and I want to talk to them, or I want to talk to this person about this business, if we don't do it right away, our brain starts saying, you're not good enough. You don't have the information. You don't know exactly how the comp plan works. You don't know, and none of that matters because it's easier to act yourself into a new way of feeling. If you just take the action, you'll act your way into a new sense of feeling
Right.
rather than feeling your way into a way of acting because the feeling will never come. You'll never feel ready. You'll never will get go. And again, it's surrendering to it's almost like the knowledge that if we're going to do anything new,
Mm-hmm.
we're always going to go through this uncomfortable feeling because it's new. And anybody that's successful understands that. And anybody that's achieved any level of success will admire anyone who takes that massive imperfect action, even if they look stupid, even
Right.
if they look like they're choking on their words and they're sweating. Anybody who has achieved any level of success will admire that. Anybody who like laughs or is like, "What do you do?" It's like
Mm.
they've never achieved anything for themselves. So it's almost like a barrier of entry that gives you the right to have success because most people won't do it. And
Right.
it's just about it's it's one of those things. That's why Nike's slogan is so
Just do it.
powerful. Just do it. It's just like that. Just do it. I don't know what's going to happen. I don't know what this person's going to say. Let me just do it anyway. And the
Right.
more we can do that and have exposures and realize that we're not going to die,
Right.
like we're going to be okay. We learn from that and we adapt and we grow. And I think it's just understanding for me was just understanding that this is part of learning something new and
Mm-hmm.
and the only way through it, the only way to it is through it. I can't go around, I can't find the right thing to say. I just have to do it. That's all I and my first few sales calls when I would run ads and have people message me,
Yeah.
they were excited to talk to me. Probably the first 10 calls when I called the leads that I was
Uh-huh.
working I was so afraid, I was shaking that I hung up the call. I was like, "Hi, is this Gary?" And it's like, "Yeah, this is Gary." And I'm like, and then I would just hang up. And
Oh,
I couldn't handle it. But after doing it 15, 20 times, I got to the point where I could talk to anyone now, just through the reps.
right. I guess I'm not sure if this is true, but like what you say earlier on in your message is there's a very big difference between the formal world, like the formal education, and what we read in books like Think and Grow Rich and all this. I guess I'm not sure if that's the real cause, but if you look at the formal education, people are being, I mean, students are being punished for making mistakes. But guess
Mm,
what? In the reality, in the real world, mistakes is part of success. And I
hmm
don't know who said this. Is somebody said the faster you fail, the faster you succeed. So fail the faster you fail more time, and then the faster you get success. So I
hmm
guess it's also probably the mind conditioning that maybe they have this fear of making mistakes and fear of
I,
failing.
I
Yeah.
think that's a great point. I think that's
Yeah.
a great point because like in the schooling system, we pass we pass a class if we get 7 out of 10 or higher,
Right.
right?
Right.
8 out of 10 or higher, we pass, we
Right.
succeeded.
Right.
In running ads, if I run 10 ads, I know for a fact that 8 of them, 9 of them are not gonna produce anything. But
Right.
that one winner can make me can work for years.
Yes.
One market message that just clicks
Yep.
for whatever reason, the marketplace or one thing you say to somebody, 1 out of 10 is good. If I have 1 out of 10 ads that work, I'm happy. But in schooling system, that would be a 10%. My teacher would kick me out of the school. So I agree 100% with what you're saying, Gary.
Right. True. So guys, remember if you are doing your Enagic business, whether it's the offline or you are starting to do the online way, remember the secret to success is failing. Not because we want you to fail, but failing means you are taking massive imperfect action. Is the action that's the most important. If you are not taking action, there's nothing going to happen. That's the biggest failure. When nothing happens, that's the biggest failure. Remember that. Okay,
Mhm.
this is straight from Julian's message. Okay, Julian. Based on your experience, like you have coached and helped so many thousands of people becoming successful, what do you think are the three main attitude required for a person to achieve success, just like you today?
Yeah, I think a big thing is being coachable. If you find somebody who has any relative level of success that you're looking for and they tell you to do something and you might question it and be like, yeah, but this doesn't this won't work. It's like just being like a sponge. Like if somebody has a level of success like yourself, Gary, and you're bringing these people on, or maybe I'm saying something, or Gary says something, or somebody who's at a level that you want to get to recommends something, like just surrendering to like this is the process. My ego is telling me that I'm not good enough to run an ad and have someone message me, or I can't do this, but just being coachable, I think is such a big thing.
Mhm.
Even if you don't know the information, I think consistency is way more powerful than intensity.
Okay.
Um, I'm a big believer that taking small, consistent actions every single day versus like, you know what, I'm gonna work on my business 10 hours today. It's like you don't need to like there's not much you can do in 10 hours for this business. Like, if you, it's about doing the profit producing activities. If I can do a few hours every single day over the next 30 days versus doing 1 or 2 days of 10 hours and burning myself out. So I think consistency, staying consistent with the plan, whatever plan you put together.
Mhm.
Um, and and I think the biggest thing is like any opportunity to get to a live event or to get around people making it happen. I would not be here right now if I didn't go to live events. And it was to the point where any company that I was a part of, I made sure that for my first 5 years in the business, I even to the point where it's like all the money I had would get me to that event, I would get to the event because I would have one conversation. My neurochemistry would change because I would get a different belief. And even if I spent all my money, it was like, you know what? I can find more resources. I can become resourceful. I think seeing getting around people that was my biggest thing was getting to events and I would meet people who are making 10 grand a month, 20 grand a month, 50 grand a month, 100 grand a month. And I'm like, these people are not very smart. I think I'm smarter than these people. How are they? And it blew my mind. And I was like, you know what? They're everyday average people, just like myself, who are just consistent. And the only difference between me and them were they showed up consistently longer than I did, while most people quit. So I think those three things were kind of the ones that came to mind for me.
Wow, amazing. So, guys, you got that coachable. What's the second thing? Coachable consistency, and then going to a live event. So powerful.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and I think the Malaysian culture has got this down. I mean, heard they're doing massive events, and I think just getting around those are just so important.
yeah. We hope to have you attend one of our events in the near future, Julian.
That would be incredible. I would love to come to Malaysia. I would love to visit. I've heard incredible things.
Yeah. Okay, Julian. Um, with everything that you know today about Enagic, about the funnel, about self-development, everything. Now, let's just say you have a time machine to bring you back. You started like also around 13, 12, 13 years ago, right? In Enagic?
In Enagic 2016. So
Oh,
about
2016. So 11 years
2000
ago.
2016. Yeah, around 10, 11 years ago.
10, 11. Okay. So let's say you get a time machine that brings you back 10 years ago. Is there anything that you will do differently that with all that you know today?
I think the biggest thing is realizing that how we have success in this business is we generate sales. How we generate sales in this business is we need some sort of lead flow. We need people to talk to.
Yes.
And how do we do that? There's many ways to do that. We can do it in person, we can do on Instagram, we can do cold calling. But it was like I would figure out a process to just reach as many people as I can and fill the pipeline. Like just, just if I could go back, I would have spent way more money on ads. I would have, even though I was scaling my stuff, like I would have, the biggest thing I can say is like figure out a way, and there's a million ways to do it.
Mm-hmm.
There's ways I prefer, there's ways Gary prefers, there's so many ways to do it, but figuring out a way to get in front of as many people as possible so that they can hear this message, so that not only will that affect your income in your life,
Mm-hmm.
but that will, because it's almost selfish not giving this opportunity to people. You know the health benefits of this
Yes.
product. You know the life-changing income that can be earned from this product. So it's kind of like just figuring out if I could go back, I would have figured out ways to get this message to more people quicker. However that would have looked at the time.
You just mentioned about one of the thing that you would do is to increase your ads budget, as in increase the advertising, right? Uh, is it how the results will turn out? Is it better content or more money in advertising? What do you think? Which is a better win?
Yeah, it's interesting because there's people within my organization who have a very small ad budget, but they're so laser targeted on their ideal client and their avatar, and they're speaking exactly to their audience, where their conversion rate is so high,
Right.
where for every like 10 people that see it, it's like maybe 6 or 7 will buy because it's just they're speaking to
Wow.
their audience.
Okay.
But then I see people who play more of the volume game, and they're more of like it's more of a catch-all approach. So they're just spending so much more money on ads, and they're
Okay.
making more money because they're just spending more money on ads. And if they had the conversions of the people that were really speaking to their audience, they would just make so much. I think it's a balance of both.
Okay.
Uh, if I had to pick one, I've always been like a volume guy.
Mm-hmm.
I've always been like, let's say if I'm in the, I like relating to like the dating market, I guess, because I'm in the dating market. But it's like, will I have a higher probability of meeting somebody if I speak to one person a day, like perfectly, and like the exact type of person I'd want to be with, or if I talk
A
to
lot more people.
30 people in a day and set up 5 or 6 dates, what is going to give me a higher probability of connecting with somebody? Probably if I do the volume, and
Right.
that's kind of been my approach. But I think a mix of both. Um, yeah, it's a good question though. I would say
Volume it seems to be the better traction, right?
volume is good, but most people just don't have the type of ad budget to where that would work. So I think like really getting clear on like who you are, who do I want to talk to? Because when people are in your organization, like these are people you work with, these are people you're talking to. So it's better to really hone in who you are, what's important to you,
Right.
and speak that message versus just a catch-all approach. So I think there's value to both at different times. I think in the beginning, getting laser clear on who that audience is, and then
Right.
as your team grows you can kind of go more in the volume.
Right. Right. Just one question I want to ask you is you know, you guys are on the internet, like the offline people, their business procedure has always been doing the demo physically, and then sometimes they are also required to install the machines. I just want to hear it from your own mouth, and so that everybody can hear it. Do you actually do a physical demo in your last 10, 11 years in this business?
I have not done a physical demo um in my
Before.
entire Enagic. I've done a few, like if like friends or family are at the house, I'm like, because I just love the product, where I'll do it, and then people are like, wow, like, and they want to buy a machine.
Okay.
Um, but usually we would just have people go through a recorded version of it. So it would
Right.
be the same thing, because there's a lot of videos on YouTube of like people that would do the demo way better than me. So I would just kind of compile the best demos that I found and send that to people if I'm going the online route. But I have not done that many demos personally.
Wow. Wow. That is I mean, you guys, because you guys are already in that universe, but that's something like a miracle here, because here people, okay, the difference is you guys are selling the opportunity. And a lot of people, especially in Asia, here they are selling the machines. That's why their procedure has always been to do the demo. So it's always a mystery. Wow, 682-6, never done a demo before.
Yeah, we'll definitely we'll check we got some things in the works, and I know Gary's kind of spearheading a lot of this stuff to kind of open these opportunities for you guys and tap into this world. So we'll speak with Matt and Nate, and we'll put something together so that will make sense so that you guys can start kind of leveraging that, because I think it's just a very untapped opportunity in Malaysia that we could help a lot of people with these products.
Right. Last two questions, Julian. Time has fly so fast, we are coming to the end of our session. Firstly is, do you still very actively recruit, and as like still throwing a lot of ads, doing a lot of posting, and does it actually overwhelms you, because I don't know. Even me, I'm not like I'm doing it actively, but even sometimes posting with messages, sometimes I feel, like you say, It's not that I want to do it. How should I say? It's not that I want to force myself to do it, but I felt of the need for consistency. But with that comes like sometimes, hey, what else do I need to talk about? Does this ever happen to you? And or are you still in that mode of doing ads, recruitment, and things like that?
Yeah, for sure. So myself and Matt, we always want to have our finger on the pulse and know what's going on because the industry's changing. And although the principles of psychology and marketing and sales, they're timeless, right? Why people buy, fear, desires, why people pain points, all the things you were talking about, Gary, those things are timeless principles, but the mechanisms change all the time. Is it Instagram? Is it YouTube? Is it TikTok?
Right.
So we'd like to always be testing new things to have our finger on the pulse just to know what's going on. Um, I'm not spending as much on ads as when I was first in the business and I was really like building the foundation of my business. But we spend a lot of times now working with our leaders, our up and coming leaders, new 6As, new 4As, new 6A2s, new dash threes, and like you met us at the event, so we
Right.
go to support our teams and
Right.
just everything we've learned, the failures, the trials, the tribulations over the last 10 years, we try to pay it forward and support our leaders. And we've kind of taken a role to really help that, but we always believe that having our finger on the pulse and testing new things is always important, even if it's at a lower budget, just to kind of make sure our foot never comes off the gas.
I see, I see. Wow. Very good point here. Um, yeah, because uh, but then again, there's a solution nowadays, especially with the help of AI, ChatGPT. There's always more new information and resources that's coming in. So we are not just relying on our own brain power, right? Yeah.
Yeah, thank
Um,
God for ChatGPT.
yeah,
Like
amazing.
it's like my therapist, my psychologist, my doctor. I was playing paddle a
Ah,
few weeks ago and I smashed myself in the face and I cut my whole lip open where
wow.
it was like 3 millimeters deep and like my lip was like open.
Wow.
And everyone there was like, you need to go to urgent care and get stitches right now.
Right.
And I even messaged my doctor and plastic surgeon friend and I sent them a picture. They're like, you should get stitches.
Uh-huh.
But then I sent like 50 pictures to ChatGPT, and
Huh?
ChatGPT was like, I listen, I'm not giving you medical advice, but based on what I'm seeing, you
Huh?
sent me a lot of pictures. This will heal on its own, and you won't have a permanent scar. And not saying to take medical advice from a robot. However,
It
I
did.
didn't I didn't get stitches and it healed. I'm not
Wow.
saying, don't take my advice on this, but all I'm saying is that we have access to some really cool stuff nowadays.
Right. Wow. Amazing. Amazing. Fantastic. There are people who literally ask ChatGPT to help them create a funnel.
Oh
And
yeah.
and they are now making 6, 7 figure. So I'm not saying that this is the way, but it could be. Um, before we go on to my last question, Letis, are you able to read out that few questions from the crowd?
Okay, so questions from the crowd. Julian, for online recruiting, what is the average closing rate?
Yeah, I wouldn't say so it's there's no like kind of like one answer for this, and it depends on where somebody is at the process. Like it, it depends where somebody is in the process, but typically like even on a there's no like one answer for this because there's so many people that are running so many different online funnels and processes. Some people will get 10 messages and maybe their closing skills are good and they can close 4 or 5 people into an Enagic. Maybe some people's closing skills aren't good and they don't close anyone. So I think that's very individual on the person, their experience, and it's really hard to say like an average for that.
Okay, great response. And same question from Lim. How much have you invested in a system for this business?
So, so when we created the first online system for Enagic, GAZ, we didn't have AI, we didn't have ClickFunnels, we didn't have uh, Go High Level, we didn't have all of these automated tools that are now available. That we invested hundreds of thousands to create a system that would work, that would have the training videos and help people build websites and personalize stuff. Nowadays with like tools like Go High Level, and if you're not familiar with it, don't worry, but all it is it's just a duplicatable system where you can build a system and copy and paste it, and it's like a few $100s a month that people cannot get access to. So the game has changed, but over the years we've invested multiple six figures in creating systems to help our teams kind of duplicate throughout the years.
Wow. So, guys, you are seeing a lot of results coming from the online community, but have you ever asked how much they are putting back into the system? So, if you are willing to reinvest in your business, continue to grow, and more important, develop yourself, the results that Julian and his whole entire community are getting, it will be the same for you. It's always the same. There's a saying that you have to put in first before you get out. A lot of people just want to get out, get something out, but that doesn't work. It has always got to be put in the work first, right? So, Julian, my final question for you is what's your biggest advice to everyone here that's listening to you? And either some of them are starting out, some are wanting to pivot to the online community or the online way of doing. What's your biggest advice to the person listening on how they can be as successful as you?
I would say it was kind of goes back to the things we were talking about earlier is like just get started. Just take massive imperfect action. Whatever you feel like for you, because this is different for everyone, but whatever you feel like is the next kind of out of comfort zone thing. Not like a thing where it's like this is impossible, but like I can do this, but it's uncomfortable. Like take that next action. There's usually like one thing for everyone at every moment where it's like this is my next thing. Like this is my like just get started, take massive imperfect action. Even if you don't know what you're doing, just getting started. Because there's only so much your brain's gonna let you fail when it's like, okay, I need to change something here. But without taking that massive imperfect action, it's just like all of these thoughts that never get fulfilled. It's there's no room for new information when the old actions are in here, and it's like I haven't taken that first step, so I don't have room to do something else. So I think just just get started, take action. What you have here with what Gary put together with Enagic, with the tools and resources and the community, it's people are starving for something like this, for an opportunity like this, for this community, for these products. And just figuring out a way to get that in front of people is, I think, just getting started. And just like Nike said, Gary, right? Just do it.
Yeah, just do it. And I while you are just saying this message, I can literally picture a door in front of every one of us, and everybody is just thinking on how scientifically I can open the door. But the only way is just to open the door, right?
Right. That's great.
Some people are doubting, is that door locked? How should I touch the door? Is the door cold? Maybe it's burning hot. Hey, just open it.
Right. Right.
Yeah. I love that, bro. Take massive imperfect action. Fantastic. Guys, today we are so blessed to have such an amazing individual. This is one guy that is literally changing the whole Enagic, the whole way of building the Enagic business. He and his teams are, he and his community are literally crushing it right now. One of the top global players in the entire Enagic world. Julian, are you able to type somewhere in the chat how if they want to follow you on any social media?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'll put my, I think like I'll put my Instagram right now. Nowadays, I'll post some business stuff here and there, but my Instagram is just a lot of just documenting my journey and my life and things I do for fun and stuff like that. So that's my we do post some business stuff there too, podcasts, clips, and stuff like that. So that's my Instagram, just Julian Sherm. It's like my full name without the last two letters. And yeah, happy to support you guys any way I can. And yeah, I really appreciate the time, Gary. This was a lot of fun and great
Yes.
energy here.
Yeah.
And thank you, Latisse, as well for supporting. I appreciate you guys.
Amazing. Thank you, Julian. Thank you for this enlightening message that you shared today. We hope one day, not just seeing you online, we can bring you to Asia. There's a lot of things happening right now. Malaysia, Cambodia, Thailand, Vietnam, Philippines is a whole melting pot of people. Just imagine, Julian, Asia is now what America is 10 years ago when you guys pivoted to the online space. So there's a lot of action beginning to happen. So, like you mentioned, the easiest way to succeed is to follow a mentor that already have the result we want. So we definitely look forward to having you here in person. One of these days, I'll bring you around and to rock with us all over Asia.
I can't wait. And I want to try the amazing food over there as well.
You probably have to fast 1 month in advance because you will look like Donald Trump after leaving Malaysia.
It's all I will. I will.
Anyway, guys, thank you so much once again, Julian. You have been such a great star with us today. You have added so much value to us, so much blessing. We have got every single thing that you say. And guys, the last thing that I want to reiterate, final word, is that no matter how much notes that you have taken from Julian today, no matter how much knowledge that you have put into your head today from Julian, nothing will happen if you do not take massive, imperfect action. So action is everything. Of course, knowledge is important, skills, information, but ultimately it still boils down to the action. So please start doing something today because your tomorrow will really depend on your today. And last but not least, stay tuned to Lettice. Are you able to put the Kangen Power Team International Facebook page? Stay tuned on our Facebook page as we will announce the next star interview with the star in our next episode in January. It's a young lady I met the other day. It's under Nate Wells' team. It's also under your team, Julian. So you may want to also share it with your community. She is a 6A2, I think, going on to 6A2-2. I think she is from either Europe or Australia, but she's an amazing person. I met her online together with Nate the other day. So she has tremendous results in the funnel in her social media marketing. You guys may want to check her out. Okay, this will be happening in January. The timing will roughly around be the same, 9 o'clock to 11 a.m. Malaysia time. So we will announce it. Stay tuned on that page, and we'll definitely see you at the top.
Thank you guys. Love and appreciate you guys. We'll see you soon.